So we've had some discrepancies today of how we should be beginning this podcast.
All over the place.
Yeah.
Brooklyn had an idea. I think that's how we started our podcast, remember?
That's
because
true.
we talked about how our children had these ideas of how to start.
Well, to be fair, I was gonna rap,
You were going to rap.
and then you added a line, and then Connor
Yeah.
added a line. So we texted Brooklyn. We're like, add a line.
Yeah.
I thought it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
personally.
but-
It was
I
100%
was
ridiculous.
rapping.
That was the point.
I think we should open it like Jake Paul. What is up, everybody?
What is over?
What's
Wow.
up, Jake Paulers?
Wow.
This is the
Connor, what about you?
25
How do you think we
Together
should open it?
podcast.
Yeah, I still think we should rap.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should just all like bang on stuff.
Oh yeah?
Bang on
How would
stuff?
you start that off?
I don't know.
Wow.
Oh.
You were supposed to start rapping. I don't know.
The,
I could try to beat.
that was a
I
very
can-
terrible beat,
I can
though.
play us a beat.
That was a terrible beat. So I was thinking about this though. What are your like greatest fears? We have some stories about like some fears and some traumatic experiences that have happened
Mine's not
in
a fear. Mine's just
our
a traumatic
family.
experience.
I think.
I can never live it down. Now I flinch.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
What can you not live down?
parking meters.
Parking
Oh,
meters?
what happened with the parking meter?
So we're at the beach in California, and we're walking. Were we walking home from the beach? Or, like,
I think we
not
were
to
walking back to the car.
Yeah.
To the
Yeah.
car. Yeah. We were heading to El Vehicular, and I was just strolling along. I just had a good day at the beach. I don't know. I think we got ice cream that day. That's probably why I was happy.
You were pretty young.
Okay, and ice cream is still the way to my heart.
No, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was
The,
just
the height matters.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm like about the height of a parking meter. And I'm just walking, strolling along, having a good day.
Yes.
Straight into the parking.
Face directly
So-
into the
Face
parking meter.
plant into
This
a
was
parking
no.
meter.
It was
That
not
was fun.
phone. I mean,
No,
she
I was-
wasn't.
No, she was just walking and
I
talking
was
to him.
just looking.
Bam.
I was having a good time.
If it was a cartoon, there would have been like those springs and stuff like above
Ow, wow, wow.
above her head.
For sure.
Birds flying around.
So every time you come to a parking meter now, you're a little bit apprehensive.
Well, I just I'm very aware when I'm walking on the streets. Like if I see, I'm an avid watcher of those parking meters now.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
That's funny. Connor said birds would be flying around her head.
Oh,
That's your worst nightmare.
No.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm terrified of birds. One time we had a bird in our closet.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we have this big like walk-in closet, so
Oh my gosh.
I go in there and I freak out because there's a bird in the closet, and I ran out of there. I closed the door.
I'm laying in bed and I
yeah.
hear just this sudden scrambling and yelling and a door like slam, and I'm
Pretty
like,
sure I
what
heard
is
about it after, I
happening?
don't know.
So I'm trying to
Yeah.
open the
Wasn't
window
home.
from the outside because I'm not going to go in there to open the window. There's a
No,
window
you
in
know
the
who got to
closet.
go in there in the closet with the bird?
This guy.
This
Yeah.
guy.
Well, I'm not dealing with any bird. Have you ever seen? Haven't you seen that movie, The Birds?
I ain't dealing with no bird. They're from the government.
They're from the
sound
government. Oh my gosh. So Connor is scared of escalators.
Escalator.
For good reason.
Yeah.
It is for very good reason.
Tell the story.
We were was it DFW?
Yeah.
We were in DFW going down like the giant escalator,
Gosh, those things are huge.
and was I talking? I think I was like.
I don't know what happened.
I think I was
I'm
like
sure.
turned around talking. I just wasn't holding on to my suitcase good.
You were just scared to get on.
He had just gotten this suitcase too. It was brand new.
Yeah.
That's true.
And it was like barely on the stair. I let go of it, or wasn't holding it good enough, and it just trampled all the way down the escalator.
End over end.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
tumbled down
We're
the
so lucky
escalator.
there wasn't people on there.
I thought it would have been funny if there were people in front of me.
I'm so thankful
Oh, they
there
would
were
have
no
been
people.
tumbled down.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
And
probably
what do you
would've
do?
caught it.
Like, you can't do anything about it. You just gotta watch it.
Yeah.
So we just watched it tumble, and it took like
yeah.
a good minute for it to reach the end of the
I
escalators.
could have Spider-Man slid down, caught it. I don't know.
It was absolutely terrible.
We thought it was hilarious. Connor was a little devastated because it was his first like brand new suitcase that was all his. It wasn't a hand-me-down. Like he had always gotten the hand-me-down suitcases.
Yeah.
And it had this big old dent in the side. I ended up having to like switch suitcases with him on that trip so that he could have mine that didn't have a dent because it was like traumatizing and I was trying anything to make it better.
I didn't get my first suitcase that wasn't a hand-me-down until my senior year of high school.
Well, welcome to the real world.
It's life.
Yeah, but I think the most ridiculous fear of them all is mom's fear of grates,
Yeah.
like the sewer grates or
Okay.
drainage grates that go on the
To
street.
be fair,
We're gonna fall to our
I'm
death.
not terrified of the grates.
False.
Like, you know, when you're walking down
You
the
are
sidewalk
terrified.
and there's like a manhole cover or a
Yeah.
grate or whatever, or down a street, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, I'm going to walk around it. And I'm not necessarily terrified. I'm just minimizing risk.
No, I think
He
you're
thinks we're gonna
terrified
turn
of
into
turtles.
Ninja Turtles.
I don't think you can turn into Ninja Turtle.
The Ninja Turtles will protect us.
Yes,
I don't know what
exactly.
you're talking about.
Welcome to the Doing Life Together podcast.
I have to say one thing.
Okay,
We walk on them on purpose
we do.
in front of her.
They do.
Sometimes I'll send her pictures and
Yeah.
I'll just be like, hey, just walked over.
We send well on our family chat. We send pictures of escalators.
Every time we're at DFW, we send a picture of the escalator.
Oh,
a
yeah.
gas station.
Hey,
in
remember?
Seminole.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a gas station.
Really nice
There's
bathrooms.
bathrooms. Y'all should try it out.
We're
I don't even know the name.
First gas station you see when you go into Seminole.
from Carlsbad.
Yeah, coming from Carlsbad.
Yeah. We're very sarcastic. So if you think that we're bad here on the podcast,
The pod.
if you think that we're bad, you should just spend a day with our family.
Sarcasm is a way of life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Would not recommend.
10 out of 10 would not
what do you guys think? Should we say pod or say podcast?
Podcast is too long. But I don't want you saying pod because, like, you're not cool. You know?
What?
Ouch.
Did you just say?
To the heart. You know,
Pud?
But,
it's just terrible.
Shot to the heart.
It was on my pud.
yeah, I gotta go from the pod.
Wow.
Now I'm embarrassed.
Yeah. So guys, these are our kids. We have our kids in set
Did we
today.
On
ourselves?
set in studio.
Yeah, maybe you guys could introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We'll start with, I call Connor my second favorite son. I only have one.
So rude.
But anyway, it's a term of
It's
endearment.
because I'm a man.
Oh,
Connor, tell us about yourself. Like how old you are, what you like to do.
hi, I'm Connor. I am 12 years old. I'm in 7th grade. I like to play video games. And I don't know.
What kind of games do you like to play?
I like to play Fortnite, Minecraft, Apex,
Nice.
mostly shooters.
Yeah. And you have a whole like gaming setup and all
Whole
that
setup.
stuff. I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah. He also makes some killer stop motion videos.
That's true.
Oh, I do that, yeah.
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 Yeah. So, all right. So I seriously, I mean, I do sometimes say you're my second favorite son, but I usually call him boy.
Yeah.
I'm all, hey boy.
Boy.
I don't know why. And then this one over here I call kid.
Yeah.
Um,
Every time. It's so funny because I'll call him around my friends and I'll be like, watch, he's gonna answer and say, hey kid. Every time.
yeah.
Every
time.
single time.
So tell us about yourself.
I'm Brooklyn. I am 18. I currently live in Lubbock. Wow, that's weird to come out of my mouth still. Moved there August of 2024 for college. I go to Lubbock Christian University. I'm on the cheer team. We're leaving in Daytona in, I don't know how long when this comes out, but soon. We might already be there. I don't know. But so that's super exciting. And
What are you doing in Daytona?
nationals for cheer. And then
Which is like a big deal, right? Like talk about
Oh.
that whole deal and why it matters.
Yeah, so NCAA College Nationals is like the biggest competition in college cheerleading ever. And so like we have been working on this routine since pretty much since the summer. And just like little by little, we work on it all throughout the year. We build up our skills while cheering games, basketball games, and volleyball games at LCU. Other colleges also do football. Um, and then we go back early from winter break. Our choreographer, Dalston, comes and he choreographs our routine the rest of the way. And then he'll come in for weeks we call work weeks, which we just came off of one this Wednesday. And he'll come work with us and just make sure our routine is perfect. And then we go compete it and he watches us compete. So
Yeah.
we're going for rings this year, so hopefully we win. And then I think the other thing about me is I attend Church on the Rock in Lubbock, and I am now volunteering in their kids ministry, which is awesome. So
Nice.
I think that kind of goes into, one of the things that we wanted to talk about because, now that you're living on your own, see, in our house, church isn't an option.
Right.
It's something that we do. And so, from the moment that Connor and Brooklyn were born, we went to church. And, but one thing that we did not make our kids do is serve in church, and they've chosen to do that. And then Brooklyn now, not living at home, it's obviously, her choice is strongly encouraged to be involved in church, but she's chosen to do that.
Mhm.
And so maybe you start and talk a little bit about like what that meant growing up, and why you want to make it, a part of your adult life, why you've chosen to make it part of your adult life.
yeah, so I would say I've loved working with kids since I was one. And I think that has a lot to do with like growing up as a youth pastor's kid. I grew up around all of the older kids, around Isaiah and Josiah and all of them that are still like on stage and here and everything, which is awesome. But I just kind of hung around the older group because that's who I was around most.
Right.
And so I feel like developed a little bit more maturity. I always acted older than I was, which was sometimes a bad thing, but sometimes a very good thing. And so, um, I just I felt a heart for kids from a young age. And so
Right.
as soon as I hit sixth grade and could volunteer in kids class, I was like, put me in there.
Mhm.
I did cameras for a little bit. That was not where I needed to be. I needed to be in class. And so, yeah, I've been doing that. And then I went to Lubbock and I had gone to Church on the Rock a few times. I started going to a college ministry and I was like, I need to get involved somewhere. And so, started going to Church on the Rock again. And I love it. It feels like home. Um, I mean, this will always be home, but that's, I feel like I have a family there.
Yeah.
And, I got in contact with their children's pastor, and Amanda's amazing. She is an amazing human being, and I actually got involved in the children's ministry program at LCU, and I'm adding that as a minor. Um, and so my director for that, Shannon Rains, is also awesome. And yeah, just so many amazing connections, and I thank God every day for my parents and the foundation that they've given me. And I still text my dad all the time, and I'll learn something in a Bible class, or I'll text Papa and I'll be like, hey, I have a question about this. And they'll answer it and explain it. And so that's something that's very much helped me out a lot, and um, definitely beneficial to me. And so I definitely think I know I'm gonna carry that on
Yeah.
with my
Yeah.
family. just
That's
yeah.
awesome. So you
So-
said you were
I'm sorry.
doing a minor in children's ministry. What is your major? You should share that.
Oh yeah, my major is psychology.
Right.
I want to be a child counselor, still with the kids, and stay in kids class at church and everything.
I love that because it's a desire that you've had since you were little and you didn't necessarily know what that career was going to look like,
Yeah.
but you've always known you wanted to work with littles, and whether that was as, a teacher, a counselor, or children's minister, or whatever it may be. So I love that that's a desire that God birthed in you from a young age. And now we're starting to see that kind of work out in your adult life. And
Oh yeah,
it's a very exciting time.
it's folded and formed and changed, but it's
Of course.
yeah.
So
exciting.
being forced, so to speak, to go to church, growing up, that did make you resent the church. A lot of people say, well, I don't want to force my kids because it's going to make them resent the church.
I think there's a difference because yes, growing up I was forced to go to church, but I was never forced to do anything at church. I was never forced to raise my hands. I was never forced to pray or take communion. You guys brought me to church and you encouraged me to do those things, but you didn't force me. I
Right.
did that on my own.
Mhm.
So I think that there's a line there that yeah, you can bring your kids to church. You can force them to come to church. Cool, that's great. They need to come to church. But you can't force them to be involved and actually do things, because I think that's where the resentment comes in,
Yeah.
is when you're being pushed too hard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it just establishes that it's putting them in an environment,
Yeah.
to make the right decisions, and I think one of the things is if we really trust God, then we know that we're going to put our children in the right positions, and then God's going to speak to their hearts.
Right.
And I believe that God can begin to speak to their hearts at a very, very young age. This doesn't have to be, we don't have to wait till they're teenagers, or we don't have to wait. I believe that God begins to move and to stir in them his purposes and his plans at a very young age.
Absolutely.
And Connor, what are your thoughts kind of on some of that, like being involved in church, going to church? I know that you're not at the age where you're making your own decisions yet, but you serve, and that's a decision that you've made. And so talk about that stuff,
So talk about
just like serving and why you serve in
Where
church.
do you serve and why do you like serving there?
I serve mostly in classes.
Yeah.
I think the reason I like serving in classes so much is because I've grown up around so many people serving in
Yeah.
classes and being like mentors.
Yeah.
And it's just really
Connor gets
inspiring.
emotional like I get emotional.
Yeah.
Um, but it's true, like just totally true that when you see it, like when you see it modeled in front of you, and it just becomes a lifestyle, and it's something that you believe very strongly in. It's something that that becomes a passion for you, and you grow because of it. And so I think those are super important things
Yeah.
and attributes.
You can have the rule in your house that you all go to church. And I think that's, obviously I encourage that, but you can't force a relationship to happen.
Right.
Exactly.
And so you can give opportunity for a relationship to be formed. And I think that, I hope that we did a good job modeling in our home that church isn't just something that we force you to go to once a week and to do, but that we raised our family to be the church, and that you see us be the church in our everyday lives. It's more than just, hey, we go to church on Sunday and this is one thing that we do, but
Right.
this is our lifestyle. We have a lifestyle of serving, and
Yep.
everything that we've done, whether it has been city events or church events or whatever it is that we're involved in, our kids have always been part of that.
Right.
They've attended with us, and Brooklyn's always been fine with the spotlight. Connor's more like he'd rather be in the background, but I feel like we've at least tried to balance that and
Yeah.
expose you to things. But I think it's a big difference when you're living one way and it's not just a, hey, we go on Sunday and we fake it and we
Right.
force you to act a certain way or,
Right.
to dress a certain way or whatever it may be. Like,
Half the time I showed up to church in leggings and a t-shirt.
right.
But it's, living it doesn't mean that you're perfect.
Right. Absolutely.
But what you're doing is you're teaching them not only to be in church, but to be the church. And that doesn't mean perfection
Mhm.
because the church isn't perfect. And,
Right.
we've talked about that here on the podcast too. And our house isn't perfect.
No.
There's been so many times where we've gone and apologized to our kids for the way that we've handled something,
Mhm.
or the way that we've responded to something. Brooklyn and I
It's usually us.
we had some epic battles.
We're the same person. So when we even if it's just like little,
We're
like
hot-headed.
I'll get in trouble for something little and we'll end up like being so like frustrated with each other. And then mom will be like, okay guys, calm down. And then we'll like simmer down and he comes in and he'll be like, that was stupid. I'm sorry. I love you. And I'm like, it's fine. And then we'll watch TikToks together in my bed for like 30
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. And, that's because we're both hot-headed. We're both loudmouths.
Yep.
And
Neither of us know how to keep our mouths shut.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's true.
So
Where Connor and I are the more reserved, we're more thinkers. So we try to level out the hotheads in our
A
house.
lot. It just doesn't stay
You
in
think
here.
out loud.
It comes out. Yeah. But no,
but I
that's
think I was just going to say I think that's an important part, though that we can be real
Mhm.
and
oh yeah.
and being real also means that you make a mistake
Hmm.
Mhm.
from time to time.
Yeah.
But
And we'll
go ahead.
we'll make each other mad, but one thing that always, like, no matter what, I always get, I'm sorry and I love you.
Yeah.
And that's extremely important.
God, everybody's
Right.
getting emotional today. What the heck? I'm over here like, oh.
It's okay. We're an emotional family.
Yeah.
You know what? We're not afraid to show emotion in our house.
That's true.
Hey,
It's just what we are.
that's very healthy.
Oh,
Very
we haven't
healthy
done
coping.
a fist bump yet.
Oh, around the world.
Yeah, I thought maybe I would lighten the mood just a second. Oh,
That we could do instead of a fist bump count how many times I put chapstick on.
maybe we should count how many times we cry.
'Cause
Maybe.
Good Lord.
I brought two over here because I couldn't decide which one I wanted.
Are we going to fist bump
So
around the
before
world?
this-
You and Connor started.
Okay, so
It was also sponsor me.
Justin's. Say that again because I was talking over you.
No, I was filming my own ad over here. The camera was on me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so Justin Chase is producing today.
Yeah.
And, so Justin, we're going to do a fist bump around the world. So it's a quick camera change. We're going to go from Connor to me and we're going to go that way. All right. So
do I have to fist bump?
So it's going to go Connor's camera and then the dual camera and then Brooklyn's camera.
yeah, there we go. That works.
The dual camera and me and Connor will fist bump in front.
Okay.
Might not be able to see it, but
All right. Are you ready? Fist bumps around the world. Boom. Boom. Boom.
Sick.
That's their
There you
sibling
go.
handshake.
Justin, you're hired.
We just like telepathy that. I want y'all to know. I looked at him and I was like, we got it.
Did you guys notice that when Brooklyn wanted to say something, like she leaned into the mic like I do?
She already said you're the same person. So
That's true. That's true.
it just happened.
Let's talk a little bit about family traditions. We have a lot of family traditions. And I think I just to kind of get us back on track now that we had our little break where we could stop all crying. But besides crying, we have some other family traditions. And I think that traditions are a really important thing, whatever they are in your family. Those are the things that you remember, you talk about. My sister and I text each other. I mean, we talk almost every day or text almost every day. And sometimes it's just something really stupid about growing up. Yeah, remember that time or whatever. Or I'll just text her the lyric to a song that brings back a memory or something. But I think those things are really important in your house, to set those things, those traditions, those memories. What are some good traditions, memories? Connor, start with you.
Well, speaking of sibling traditions, me and Brooklyn have Sips Wednesday. Or we
Sips.
used to.
Yeah.
That's true.
I just leaned.
So what is Sips Wednesday?
It's every Wednesday before we went to church,
Yep.
we would go to Sips. We would get drinks and donuts, pickles, and we would, trade painting. And it was just a fun thing
Yeah.
that we did. every
Yeah.
day.
I love
Sips.
I made him pay half the time because he had bank.
Well, yeah,
Just Connor is our saver for sure.
Connor's a saver.
Brooklyn knows how she's going to spend her money a month
Yeah.
before she gets it. Connor, I mean, dude's loaded.
I've got some money in my Cash App and Apple Pay right now. There's $0 in my bank account. I have money in my savings that I owe for cheer.
I walked into Connor's room yesterday or the day before, and he's got a wad of cash.
His
And this
his
is-
stack
Yeah,
with a rubber band around it or a
This
hair.
isn't even-
Rob him.
it isn't even the money that's in his account, right? I mean, he has a lot of money in his account, but then he's got like this wad of cash, and I don't know. I mean, there's big bills. Like there was 100 on top. So
It's like
Why don't you put the big bills in the middle? So they're
it's
not
easy
like
to count
steam.
that way.
All right. Anyways, we digress back to Sips Wednesday because I want to tell this story.
we'd
Oh,
go.
So, what were we gonna say? Sorry. We actually went to Sips on Wednesday, this last Wednesday. When I got home because I picked him up from school and I was like, "Hey, you want Sips?" Didn't even process that it was Wednesday. All my days ran together because we just had practices. I didn't have classes on specific days, and so I was just like, "Today's a weekday," and I was like, "You want to go get Sips?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And we're on the way home from Sips, and I look at my phone and I was like, "It's Wednesday. It's Sips Wednesday." And so we carried on the tradition this week when I was
Right.
home.
That's awesome. I love it. What are some other traditions that we have in our family that you enjoy?
I think my favorite, just I guess it's not really a tradition, but like just all of the things we'll send each other. Like we have TikToks and movies that we quote all the time, and I'll just get a random text one day that says something stupid, and it just like I'll see it during class. Half the time I don't even answer, but I see it and it makes me laugh, and then like it just
Just like little
kinda
inside jokes and
boosts-
stuff.
Yeah, it boosts my day a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of my favorites is probably Valentine's fondue.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so this year, with
That was
Brooklyn
fun.
living in Lubbock, we were like, what are we going to do? Like Valentine's Day fondue. Valentine's was on a Friday. We were out of town.
It was.
It was-
Yeah, we
yeah,
were out
it
of
was
town. And so we're like, what do we do? Because even if we can't do it the day of, we always do our Valentine's fondue. So we rented an Airbnb in Lubbock. And that Sunday after church, we drove up and took our fondue stuff and had some of Brooklyn's friends from college over
Yeah.
and still had our like Valentine's fondue night. And we do steak and then like a cheese fondue and a dessert fondue. And
That was fun.
it's just something that developed, I don't know how many years, probably 10
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not quite 10 because Connor, I think, wasn't quite that small.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just something that kind of developed over the years. It was our first time to successfully do fondue away from home.
That's true.
The other time we tried to do it away from home at an Airbnb, we failed miserably. We ended up driving to a melting pot and having dinner because
Yeah.
ours failed.
We drove an
traumatically.
hour and a half to go to a
Yeah.
melting pot.
I think it's funny that like I brought my friends. I would have never done that in high school. Like brought my friends to like a family dinner thing. But I feel like in college, I'm like, come on, guys, let's go meet my parents.
You know, everybody just wanted free food.
Yeah.
That was the main reason.
True,
They
it's
didn't
true.
care what it was.
Broke college kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think some of our family traditions, you guys said a lot of them that I'm going to be that guy and said, oh, she took my answer.
my answer.
No, I like I like at Christmas that we have our Christmas traditions, and you know, we have a list of movies
Mhm.
that we
Well thought out
never
list.
get all the way through them, not even close.
But we try.
But we try every year.
I think I watched 2 with everybody this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was
It
only
was definitely way
here
different this year.
for 2 weeks.
Right.
And then we were gone, and then I was gone again, and then I had to be back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I like that one. I like, you know what? I had one and it just completely escaped me now. Um, oh my gosh, that's terrible. Um, wow. I
So one
cannot
of my
think of this
favorite
at
things, and
all.
I know that this is something that is
Used to
common
do
too,
them.
but I love putting up the tree together as a family. And like this year,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
wanted to put up the Christmas tree like in October because I was like ready for Christmas, but we ended up waiting until Brooklyn could come home because I didn't want to do it without our whole family because we do the whole like tacky tree thing, right?
Yeah.
And so, every ornament is from a vacation or
There's
a year
joke
of our
for
life.
ornaments.
Yeah, there's so many jokes that we have, random ornaments that we've gotten from different people that we laugh about.
Yeah.
Or just, it's a whole lot of memories. And so that's one of my favorite things.
That sounded very rude. You're like, we got ornaments. People gave us ornaments and we laugh about them.
Because they have a funny memory attached
Yeah.
or whatever. Like,
That's not what I mean.
it's things that, are weird that the kids made when they were little, but I still love them. Or some of our ornaments that we decorated
Yeah.
our first Christmas when we were broke and we went and bought, some of those like 50-cent ornaments from Walmart that we could like paint ourselves or whatever.
My
And
favorite memory from this Christmas is that I didn't have to help take down the Christmas tree.
Yeah, that was hurtful.
yeah, nobody likes putting the tree up. We all want to be a part of like
It's my
getting it
favorite
out, but
tradition.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to help take it down anymore.
Oh my gosh.
I always love looking at my baby hat.
your baby.
This me.
I love my face ball. That's always
So
my
I tried
favorite.
to knit or crochet a Santa hat for Connor when I was like pregnant with him, or maybe it was
fail.
after he was born. But anyway, for his first Christmas, and it looked so big when it was like on the loom, and then I took it off, and it's like this little baby hat, and so it's a Christmas ornament.
It's like microscopic.
That's one of the things that
You're
we
putting
laugh
on a
about every
light
year.
bulb, right?
Yeah, we did. We
Put
put
it
it
on
on
a
a little
light
light bulb. You know how you can like paint a light bulb to look like a snowman face or whatever, like
Yeah.
so it'll fit on the light bulb. Like, oh my
Really
gosh!
fit on the light
yeah,
bulb.
we have lots of memories around that.
Yeah.
She ordered one time from the school picture people. What is that place called? Like Life Touch.
Mhm.
She ordered an ornament, but it didn't come with like a thing. And it was like 4th grade. We still have it. I had my face on it. It's black now.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah, from the heat from being
Yeah.
in storage, it like turned black.
But we still put it on the tree, and we know it has my 4th grade face on it. And but it wasn't an ornament ever. It was just a ball.
It's
It looks
just-
like a rubber ball.
It was
Yeah,
supposed to be an
it was
ornament.
supposed to be an ornament.
But there's no cagey.
I remembered my tradition.
Oh yeah, okay, what was
An
it?
hour later.
One hour
But there's a story behind it that I haven't told you guys.
Oh.
Um,
Oh,
so there's breaking news.
Oh,
Um,
I can't wait.
so we every summer we develop a playlist and we share it, right? So the kids can put music on it,
Mhm.
and we all put music on it. And so anyway, I had gone to a convention a few weeks ago in Phoenix, and I rented a car, and I had our playlist from last summer on there. And so I pick up some of the people that I'm at the convention with, and we're headed to dinner. And I don't even remember the song, but some song came on, and we have like a lull in the conversation. And the guy that was with me, he goes, "What are you listening to? Like, what is this?" I'm like, "Man, I don't know. This is like something my kids added to the playlist."
I don't add stuff to the playlist though. I don't really add anything, so it was definitely
Brooklyn adds the worst music to the playlist. But anyway,
Oh my gosh.
Podcast conversation. Yes.
I think that one of the I guess things in our household, like we're talking about traditions and things like that, and just other things that have driven our household. Whenever we found out that we were pregnant with Brooklyn, I remember being just completely overcome with emotion because I wanted everything in our house. I wanted everything in associated with raising a kid to be absolutely perfect,
Mhm.
because I felt like
Perfect. Sorry, I had to
humble.
lighten the mood. You were getting too sad.
I felt like that's what she deserved, was perfection. And one of the things that came out of that was God beginning to show me that even though I'm incapable of being perfect, He is.
Mhm.
And so as long as we point to the one who is perfect,
Right.
as long as we point to Him and we say, this house is going to be focused on the pursuit of Jesus,
Mhm.
and that's going to be our drive, then we're going to be okay.
Right.
We may face hard times. We're going to have circumstances, situations that are difficult.
Mhm.
We're going to have times where we make mistakes. We're going to have to apologize to one another.
Mhm.
But we're in a constant pursuit of the one who is perfect. The scripture says it this way: looking to Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith, the
Right.
one who started it and the one who completes it, the Alpha and the Omega, looking to Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. I think sometimes we place so much pressure on ourselves, but when we focus on Jesus and say, I don't know how this is going to turn out,
Right.
but let's all hold hands together. Let's walk together and let's pursue Him. Let's pursue Christ. As we do that and we make Christ the forefront in our family, and we set that standard and that precedence, then we're going to be okay.
Right. Because there's no point in your family life and being a parent and being a child that you're just like, oh, this is so easy.
Yeah.
Like every season is hard. but
Yeah.
every season is special.
Yeah.
And I think one of my biggest pieces of advice that I give new parents is don't wish away this season for the next.
Yeah.
Because yes, it's hard. It's hard when they're little
Yeah.
and they need every little thing from you and you're overwhelmed and you're a new parent and you just want to be perfect, but you're not, and you're not going to be perfect. And then they get a little bit older and they start stepping out. And even if it's as little as when they start walking,
Yeah.
then you start experiencing what it feels like as a parent when your child feels pain. And that's hard too. And then when they get even older and they're getting more independent,
Yeah.
it's so hard. And, we're just learning, being almost a year from Brooklyn going out on her own and graduating, like what it's like to be a parent of an adult.
Mhm.
And it's hard at times, but it's also beautiful. And I mean, it's that whole season, like when she came home for, was it Christmas? When you came home, I think it was at Christmas, was the first time you were home for an extended period of time. Maybe it was Thanksgiving, I don't know. But she was like, do I have a curfew? Like, what are my
It's Thanksgiving.
rules? Yeah, Thanksgiving. And we were like, well, I mean, you're an adult. So, I mean, you're in our home and we want you to be respectful. But like, it's weird, right? You start
But
having
again,
these
that's
different-
communication, like
Absolutely.
and having that respect, that I respect the fact that she's an adult, but I also expect that she respects the house,
Right.
And so we have that communication with one another as well, and start to work through that.
Right.
Usually they leave the side door open because they like to go to bed.
That's true.
That's
So I
true.
go in the side door so I don't wake them up.
Yeah.
That's true. I heard a quote the other day that, or I think I saw a meme or something with it on there, but it said, you spend the majority of your kid's life knowing them as an adult. And so enjoy the time that you know them as a child.
That's
and I
good.
think it's so true. And, now having one that's still at home and one that's away, I think I feel that even more.
Yeah.
Like, it's been such a fun season to see Connor kind of come into his own
Yep.
and develop his personality, and he's starting to turn into, a young man instead of, the
He
baby
took over
of the
Brooklyn's
family.
mouthiness.
Oh, that's true. He has kind of.
Dude, hey, I'd been training him.
But every season is it's so special, and don't spend your time focusing on the hard part
Yeah.
of the season. Try to see the beauty in it as well, because once that season's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
And I also don't feel like we need to constantly be longing for the days that are past. Like, I don't want
Right.
my kids to be babies again.
Right.
I love who they are now.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to see them as people we like genuinely to hang out with.
Yeah.
Like these are my favorite people in the world. Like I
Yeah.
have never have more fun than when I am hanging out with this group of 4, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's amazing. But just take time to really enjoy the season that you're in.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think that, as you grow, and I know we've talked a lot about like making memories,
Mhm.
and things like that. But you make individual memories, you make group memories, and you don't let the enemy steal time from you.
Right.
Um,
We talked about that when we're talking about marriage,
Right.
but same thing applies
It is.
here.
It is. It's absolutely the same thing, because you can have opportunities where you only get a day, or you only get this time, or you'll never get that time back.
hmm
And so don't let it be stolen from you. The enemy will always come and try to steal your time.
Right.
But you never get yesterday again.
hmm
And so take every moment, be present in the present,
hmm
which is a really big thing. So many times we're stuck right here all the time. And so when we have opportunities to spend time with one another, we spend time here instead of with one another. And we might be in the presence of one another, but we're not
Right.
present in the present.
Yeah.
And so that's another reason why I've talked about how my phone goes on like do not disturb or whatever, because we have those moments where we've just got to make it about each other,
Right.
and cherish those moments and cherish that time that we have.
hmm
One thing that I wanted to jump into a
Wait,
little
hold
bit.
on. Wait, hold on. One thing I said that I wanted to touch on for a minute is individual memories with each other. I think
Oh,
you
yeah.
said it, Dad. Because there's a lot of memories that I have with just Connor that, I mean, they probably know about, but they weren't there. And like, there's things that the first thing that pops into my head with Dad, and that's only because he just made a TikTok about it, and my friend was in the Phoenix airport too. Like when we ran through that airport and literally sprinted
Oh,
to
in
get to our
Phoenix.
flight to Washington in
That's
Phoenix.
right.
Phoenix airport. I was texting Sky the other day and I was like, the Phoenix airport is horrible. Good luck. She was like, it wasn't bad. And I was like, I don't know. I had a really bad experience and haven't been
Right.
back since.
We've had multiple
But I have-
experiences running through that airport.
Random. I mean, so many competition memories with my mom. Like, I sprayed comp hairspray this morning because that's all I had here. And I was like, oh gosh. The smell takes me back. We just both like laughed about it. But like, a lot of times Dad was here during competitions because he was preaching, which is okay. But just like that's when I got to make memories with my mom. Me and my dad have been on trips. Me and Connor spend all of our time together. So
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Like making sure to make individual memories
Yeah.
with each kid. Like that's important time. Like I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. What do you have that's like a good individual memory with any of us?
I mean,
I've almost killed me and Connor a lot.
yeah, so many things. And I mean, I think with you, LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You guys just did a man trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Connor is
and-
like my craft buddy. Like if I'm gonna do anything like
Oh.
crafting, Jason is not down for that.
Mm-mm.
But Connor's always down for it. He's like,
Brooklyn
"You
and
wanna
I
paint,
are-
we'll paint. You want to do a puzzle? We'll do a puzzle." Like,
Brooklyn and I are gingerbread house champions.
oh my gosh,
I'll have
they are.
I gotta show you some.
Their tradition is losing at gingerbread competition.
Actually, our tradition is having superheroes or dinosaurs destroy our gingerbread houses
Every year.
Falling apart already.
every year.
Connor and I will like take our time, and ours looks like so good and neat and organized.
We do
And
it
then
in
there's
5 minutes.
the dinosaur that's destroying the house that's falling down. That is Jason.
We
and-
eat all the supplies, so we don't have enough.
That's true. That's true.
Hey, our train last year was pretty good.
It was.
That's true. It,
Yeah.
it was the best thing you guys have ever created.
Put a dinosaur on top of it just because.
Tradition.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
tradition.
gosh.
There we go.
But-
Oh man.
so, is it okay if I move
Yeah,
on now?
you're good.
Okay, thank you.
Just wanted to
Permission
touch
to.
on one
No,
last
no,
little
you're
bit.
good. I wanted to hit this just before we wrap up, and I think we're kind of approaching the end.
Almost
But
got that right.
one of the things that has kind of defined the way that we parent and and you guys have experienced this, but I think it really contributes to setting you up for success is we talk a lot in our house about personal responsibility
Mhm.
and that everything's a choice. And so, it's really easy, especially in our society, we begin to blame somebody else for something, or, it was the way I was raised, or it was, and we blame somebody at work, we blame somebody,
Mhm.
and we always place the blame somewhere else. And that becomes the excuse as to why we didn't accomplish X,
Right.
or whatever it is. Um, the thing about it is that every single thing that we do in our life is a choice.
Mhm.
Um, we don't say, or I don't like the phrase, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that, because you have time for whatever was most important to you,
Right.
which is a really harsh reality when you think about the things you didn't do.
Mhm.
But whatever was the most important to you, that's what you did. And so, you say, well, I didn't have time because I had to work all the time. Well, the reality is you chose to work. I'm not saying that was the wrong choice. That was probably the right choice.
Right.
But don't say you didn't have time. You had the time to do the things that were the most important things to you.
Mhm.
So, and then you chose to go home and go to sleep or whatever, right? Again, not saying it was the wrong choice,
Mhm.
but it was a choice. And so let's take personal responsibility for these choices. One of the things that I remember, in Brooklyn, and you may have to fill in some of the details if you remember, but there was I believe it was maybe, I don't know if it was the COVID year or maybe when you were homeschooling, because you homeschooled for that one year.
That was
Um,
the same year.
that it overlapped, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, you had a bad grade or something on a paper, and I think it was because maybe you rushed through it or something, and then you had to do like some makeup work. I don't remember exactly all the details,
I honestly do not remember that.
but anyway, one of the things that we talked about is that I wasn't mad in that situation, but oh, you know what it was? I remember it was something. It wasn't during the homeschool or the COVID because it had to do with cheer.
Cheer. Yeah.
It had to do with cheer, and you had to do like some makeup work or something. Anyway, those details are irrelevant, but it was a tough time, and
You were gonna have to sit out of a cheer event because of a grade.
yes,
And
that's
it was
what
the
it
first
was.
time that had happened.
That's what it was. And it was because you made a choice, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm not mad at you
Mhm.
because of this. But the reality is you made a choice.
Mhm.
And by making that choice, then there's a consequence to the choice that you made.
Right.
And so now you have another choice. You can buckle down and do what you have to do, or you can not. And the result of that choice means that you have to sit out, of this cheer event. Um, you can continue down this road
Mhm.
and you cannot cheer. That's not my punishment to you. That's just the way it is.
Mhm.
That's a result of choice. Or you can make the choice to not put yourself in this position again.
Yeah.
None of those things come from me. None of those things are me punishing you. None of those things are me being angry with you or anything like that. I'm not disappointed in you. You made a choice, and now you have to learn to live with that choice. So either make the adjustment or not. It's your choice, whatever you want to do. But that's one of the things that is important in our house
Mhm.
because we have to understand that everything that you do in life is a result of the choices that you make. And in those choices, there are negative outcomes, positive outcomes. We have to make adjustments. We have to change the way that we do things.
Right.
And I think that in changing, one of the things that I try to live by is that you'll change when the pain associated with the status quo is greater than the pain associated with change.
Mhm.
change is difficult. Change is hard. One of the reasons we do things like the Total Health Challenge, it's not easy,
Right.
but we do that because I was fat. I was not feeling well. I was spiritually drained. I was emotionally drained.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I got to the point that all of those things created a pain point that I wasn't willing to continue with. And so I had to make adjustments to my lifestyle.
Right.
All of those things, I could be mad about all of those things that happened, but instead I could make a choice to change the way that I was living and do better.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I made that choice, then I began to see positive impacts. There's negatives to it,
Right.
but the negatives are far outweighed by the positives. And when we put those things to practice in our life, then we see value in it, right? So teaching your kids those things at a young age, teaching your kids to take personal responsibility when they have a soft landing spot, I think is a positive. I don't know if that's just something that I had put down that was strong on my heart that I wanted to touch on. I don't know if any of you have anything to add to that.
I mean, I think that like learning that personal responsibility taught me a lot here because now I'm like, wait, I'm gonna fail this class if I don't do this assignment. And I have that standard for myself
Right.
Yeah.
because that standard was set for me.
Yeah.
And so now I get upset if I don't have A's and B's. And if I have a C, I'm gonna figure out how to get it up. And like I know that I could have graduated with in white if I would have buckled down in my biology class. So
Sure.
now I know that if I want to actually like get through college as quickly as I want to and be ahead and graduate in a good standing, then I need to buckle down now because that's what I didn't do in high school. And so I made that choice. I saw the consequence. I'm doing something different.
Yeah.
Right. No, I think that's so good.
Mhm.
It was, I know your senior year was kind of bittersweet for us. I mean, it always is in some ways, but
Yeah.
we had so many conversations that year about like, I'd hear parents talking about things that were taking care of their kids for their senior year. And I'm like, I didn't know that was happening. So I'd ask Brooklyn about it. And she's like, oh, yeah, I took care of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was hard because I'm like, we raised her to be independent. But then it's like, can I just mama you a little bit longer?
Yeah.
But in reality, that's what we wanted. And
Yeah.
I know that, you know, you were well prepared to go out. And of course, like those last few months before you sent your baby off into the world, I think are some of the hardest
Yeah.
of being a parent and the most filled with like self-doubt of, did I teach her everything I should have? Did we talk about everything we should have? Did we prepare her enough? What can we still do? And I know a lot of times, you know, we saw as youth pastors that long before we even had a kid near that age,
Right.
the fight between parents that were like grasping on too tight because they knew they were about to lose them.
Yep.
And you don't lose them, but that sounds bad, but that's what we would see
Yeah.
versus the kid that's trying to like be more independent and it's this tug of war. And it can be the worst time in your relationship,
Yeah.
or you can have that communication and you can have that balance and it can be a beautiful time. It doesn't mean it's not hard,
Yeah.
but it's beautiful. And so I believe that we'll be even better when Connor gets to that age because now we've walked through it. You know, there's a lot of truth to saying that you grow up with your kids.
Yep.
You know, we've never been parents to kids at this age before.
Yep.
And so you have to have grace for each other.
Mhm.
And that's where, like we talked about earlier about apologizing when you mess up. Parents, you're going to mess up. Kids, you're going to mess up. Like have grace for each other and know that, you know, one thing that revolutionized how we parented and how we disciplined especially was I was frustrated at one point and kind of crying out to God, like, how do I do this? How do I get this point across? Because I felt like it was something that really deserved some stern discipline,
Yeah.
but I didn't really feel like that was the right path. And God spoke to me and said, how do I discipline you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you show me the consequences to my actions if I continue down a road, and you show me a better path, and you give
Yeah.
me grace, and you give me love. And it's like, oh, okay. Like it totally changed the idea of disciplining to discipline,
Yeah.
or am I disciplining to correct something
Right.
towards a better path? And
Yeah.
that's the goal, right?
Right. We've let our kids make mistakes.
Mhm.
Now, again, in a soft landing spot, in
Yes.
To
a
an
controlled
extent, yeah.
environment. Yeah. You know, obviously, you're not going to let your kid put their hand on a hot stove.
Right.
Now, they may still put their hand on a hot stove, but you're going to prevent, you're not going to let
You're not
them.
going to encourage it so you can say, see, hot.
Right. You're not going to let them run out into a busy street,
Right.
you know, things like that. But things like the situation that we talked about earlier with the assignment, you know, and having to buckle down and do that assignment. You know, in the grand scheme of things, that wasn't going to impact her future, but it could make an impact on, it wasn't going to impact her future in a negative way, but the lesson could impact
Mhm.
for a long time, you know,
Right.
and help to shape who she is.
Mhm.
And, you know, I think those things are really important. I think that kind of wraps up some of my thoughts
Yeah.
today. You have anything else earth shattering that you want to share with the 5 million viewers around the world? Boom. Oh, we're going around the
We're
world
going
with
around
this
the world.
one?
You said around the world.
You did.
But I was talking about our. Oh.
You probably can't hear us say sick because we're not by the
You
mic.
can.
Oh, yeah.
picks
It
up.
picks it up.
It picks up really well.
Sure.
But
Sick.
anyway,
That's a good yap session.
that was a really good yap session. I liked it.
Speaking of yap,
Oh my gosh.
Sponsor.
Connor and I have yappy bracelets. So
Let's see my camera.
we think we should be sponsored by Yappy. Jason's always saying we should be sponsored by Topo Chico, or he wants a fist bump sponsor.
Sponsored, I told them, by Summer Fridays and EOS.
But seriously, these Yappy bracelets,
They're
you
great.
scan them with your phone, you tap it, and it gives you a scripture of the day.
That's awesome.
it.
It is. It's
They're
really
great.
cool, and
Do
they're
it.
reversible. Like mine have
What's the
crosses.
scripture of the day?
I don't know. I pulled it up earlier. I'm gonna see if it's still up.
I haven't scanned mine.
Mine was John 11:25 and 26. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die.
Good.
So, yeah, get yourself a Yappy bracelet. They come in all kinds of different colors.
I don't get my scriptures by a bracelet. I get it from Holy Spirit.
Whoa!
Oh, okay, Mr. Holier Than Thou.
Boom roasted. You need to get your truck lifted.
It's getting deep in here.
Oh wow. Wow. Well, we had a little bit of time where we were serious, folks.
Ended on a serious note.
No.
No, never.
Jump into the Total Hell Challenge. Is this the last week to enter for our book giveaway?
Yes, because we're going to give it away
Yeah.
next Tuesday.
Yeah. So next Tuesday we're giving away
9 words from
9
Jesus
Words from
book.
Jesus,
2 of
2
them.
copies
Wait.
of 9 Words from Jesus.
So, like, share, comment, help us get the word out.
Yeah.
Share an episode. Every time you share, you're entered to win.
Every time you share, you're entered to win. So share it up, share and share alike,
Yep.
and be entered to win 9 words from Jesus. We're wrapping up this season. We've got a few more episodes next week. Pretty excited. Our nephew Caden is going to be on.
Yes.
Talking
Talking about leadership.
all the way from
Yakima.
Yakima, Washington, around the world.
We're
Our
not
first
doing
remote
anything.
guest.
It's our first remote guest.
Yep.
And so we're excited about that. Lots of good stuff happening. And so jump in on the health challenge. If you haven't, we didn't really talk about it. We don't need to talk about it every week. I think we're good. Y'all, thanks for being on this podcast.
Yes. Thank
Y'all,
you. Y'all.
Y'all.
thanks for being on this podcast.
We didn't make Connor talk too much, I don't think. So
Thank you. I talked a lot.
Yes, you did.
that's right. You're the gabber.
Yeah.
I am. I will talk forever.
Guys, thanks for doing life with us.
Yes.
We'll see you next week.
We love you.
Bye.